I got in. I got in. I got into Columbia. I got into Columbia. So the first activity was I have linked my essays in the descriptions. So hopefully this will help you guys if you are planning to transfer or apply. Okay, good morning. It is the morning of May 18th and I'm about to open my Columbia transfer decision. I don't know what to expect. Probably rejection. Wait, what? I got in! 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 Oh my life, I got in! No way. What? What? I got in! I got in! I got into Columbia! I got into Columbia! I got into Columbia! Oh my... What? What? I got into Columbia! I got into Columbia! I got into Columbia! I got into Columbia! No way! I got into Columbia! I got into Columbia! No, that's not real! No way! No way! I got into Columbia! No way! No way! No way! No way! No way! What's up YouTube? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how I transferred into Columbia University. My name is Jonathan. I'm an incoming sophomore at Columbia University in the fall, and I did my first year of undergrad at the University of Michigan. So today I'm going to be talking about how I managed to transfer from Umich to Columbia. So I'll be breaking down my stats, my extracurriculars, my essays, recommendation letters, the whole thing, and I have linked my essays in the description, so you can actually take a look and read my essay. So firstly, why did I want to transfer? Honestly, Umich was a great school. School spirit, work hard, play hard, clubs, everything is there. I really love my Umich experience, and I met some of the best people I've ever met in my life there. The reason I transferred is because I realized in my first year that I wanted to study computer science, and unfortunately at Michigan, they started capping the computer science major actually starting my year. So I was the first class where some people are not allowed to take CS. Unfortunately, I was one of those people, so no matter what, I could never take CS at Michigan. So that's why I started looking into transferring. All right, so we'll start with my stats. In high school, I had a 4.51 out of 4.8 GPA, weighted. I think it's 4.0 unweighted. And in college, I had a 4.0 GPA for both semesters. So I think when you're transferring, the most important thing is having a 4.0 or as close as you can to 4.0 GPA in your first year of college. So in terms of standardized testing, I submitted both my ACT and SAT. Both of those I took in high school, and I just took them one time each. So for the ACT, my super score was a 36 with 36 in English, math, and science, and a 35 in the reading section. For my SAT, I had a 1570 with a 790 in math and a 780 in reading and writing. I also submitted my AP scores, so I took 12 APs in high school, and I got a 5 on each AP, so I submitted those scores as well. Okay, now we're going to talk about extracurriculars, activities, experiences, and awards. So, for some reason, when I used SCORE to apply to Columbia, it didn't really let me change the order of my extracurriculars, so my activities and experiences. So I'll just read it in the order that it was submitted on my application. So the first activity was a nonprofit that I founded in high school that I continued working a little bit for in college, and just doing some volunteering for that. So I just wrote about how I kind of coordinated all those events, managed volunteers. My second item is computational biology research that I did at the University of Michigan as part of the undergraduate research opportunities program. I wrote about that as well. Okay, next, I talked about a summer program that I did, actually my summer before senior year of high school. That was the Stanford Institutes of Medicine Summer Research Program, otherwise known as SIMMER. Next, I talked about working as a video editor and 3D animator for a life science company. That was sort of like a part-time internship sort of thing. I also talked about my research that I did for the Stanford Optima Group. That was over the summer before freshman year of college. So I only worked on it over the summer, but I wrote about what I did and what I learned from that experience. Next, I talked about some computational biology research that I did in high school. And actually sophomore and junior year, I wrote about the two sort of projects that I worked on, the research projects that I did in computational biology in high school. I did a whole section called it Arts, dedicated to just saxophone. So I talked about jazz band and a youth symphony that I played in for a little bit in high school. So I just talked about, saxophone there. Bless me. Okay, for my final activity, not final. My next activity, I talked about clubs. So I talked about all the clubs I did in high school. I was co-president of the medical club and public health club, and as well as an officer for the HOSA club. So I put all those there and just talked about kind of my responsibilities, what I did for each club. Next, I talked about volunteering for FCSN, which is Friends of Children with Special Needs. So I was a singing and dancing instructor. I just wrote about my time there and what I learned and what I did basically. So I was there for 3 years and I put that as my next activity. And then finally, I talked about a club that I did at the University of Michigan called V1 Tech Entrepreneurship Club. It is hands down the best club that I joined at Michigan, and I had the opportunity to become part of the core team on second semester. So I just talked about how what I did for the club. So in summary, those are my 10 activities and experiences. Okay, so now we'll talk about my awards. They all came from high school, to be honest, but I put my first place placement at Synopsis, which is a local science fair, and my placement at the California Science and Engineering Fair, which is another science fair at the state level. I talked about qualifying for international competition for HOSA, which is a sort of like a medical terminology, medical topics, very broad, but it stands for, I don't know what it stands for. HOSA, International Tournament Qualifier. That was my third award. National Merit Finalist, Perfect PSAT Score, that was my fourth award. And then finally, I got the Presidential Volunteer Service Award Gold Medal 3 times. So those are my awards. Nothing changed since high school. Those are the same ones I used the first time around. Okay, for my recommendation letters. So for my letters of rec, I asked 2 professors, which I was required to do, both of them from my university. So first I asked my Engineering 100 teacher. So she taught me for 1 semester on this Intro to Engineering class that every engineer has to take. But in that class, I tried to ask lots of questions. I put in a lot of work on the final project. So I asked her to write a recommendation based on that. And then secondly, for my research at Michigan, I had a research advisor. So I asked him to be my second letter of recommendation. And I think those recs were decently strong. So I give a 6 or 7 out of 10 for the first rec and an 8 out of 10 for the second rec. Okay, and finally, the part that you've probably been waiting for, the essays. So I'm not gonna read them out loud here because it's too long. As I said before, they're linked in the description. So hopefully that'll be helpful to you. But I'll just go over each of the questions, the prompts, and what I wrote generally for each one, my thought process, and why I think it worked or didn't work. Okay, so the first prompt for basically every school is, why do you want to transfer to like X school? So why do you want to transfer to Columbia? For this question, it's 600 words. So I wrote generally about how I became interested in computer science in my first year of college, how I had previous experience in high school in computer science, but just didn't realize that it was my passion. And then how Michigan didn't let me take CS and why Columbia is a much better option. Obviously offers CS and has a computational biology track within CS that I'm especially interested in. So I just wrote about how Columbia was a perfect fit for me in terms of that. I also went into some other stuff like clubs at Columbia, the core curriculum, and how I missed kind of having a more well-rounded education like I did in high school. So that was probably pretty big since Columbia is known for its core curriculum. Next, Columbia asked to list a selection of texts, resources, and outlets that have contributed to your intellectual development outside of academic courses, including but not limited to books, journals, websites, podcasts, essays, plays, presentations, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, you get the idea. So for this one, I put actually like legitimate stuff that I read. I got a lot more into reading this year, so I just put the books that I read, just a list of a bunch of titles. Okay, next question. This I took out because it's a little bit more personal, but I'll give you the general spiel of what I wrote. So the next question is, a hallmark of the Columbia experience is being able to learn and thrive in an equitable and inclusive community with a wide range of perspectives. Tell us about an aspect of your own perspective, viewpoint, or lived experience that is important to you, and describe how it has shaped the way you would learn from and contribute to Columbia's diverse and collaborative community. Okay, so for this one, I wrote about some personal stuff. So I basically just, to summarize, how family health struggles have made me seek out the happiness in everyday things. And then the next question is, in college and university, students are often challenged in ways that they could not predict or anticipate. It is important to us, therefore, to understand an applicant's ability to navigate through adversity. Basically describe an obstacle and how you overcame it. So for this one, I wrote about my experience at the Stanford Institutes of Medicine Summer Research Program, or SIMR, and how I kind of had trouble building the product. There was like a roadblock that happened really far through the journey, and how we overcame that and came out stronger. So question, why are you interested in attending Columbia University, or like, whatever school you're applying to? So for this one, I kind of repeated a lot of what I said in the first essay about why I want to transfer, but I mentioned and emphasized the computational biology part that I'm really interested in, and also entrepreneurship resources, because I've realized that I'm pretty into like startup culture and entrepreneurship. And I wrote about the resources that Columbia offers for entrepreneurship and business, and I talked about the core curriculum, of course, and how taking a wide variety of courses will help me become a more well-rounded founder. And finally, what attracts you to preferred area of study at Columbia University? For this one, I talked about my experience at my first hackathon, and how that experience made me really like enjoy the idea of computer science and consider that as an actual area of study and major that I want to pursue. So those were my essays for Columbia that got me in. If you want to read the actual essay that I submitted, they will actually be linked in the description. So hopefully that'll be useful for you. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this is really helpful to you and kind of help you if you're thinking about applying or transferring. This is how I did it. I honestly don't know how I got in, but I'm very grateful, and I'm excited to attend in the fall. So stay tuned for day in the life of Columbia video, But yeah, those are my stats, my extracurriculars, and my essays, letters of recs, the whole breakdown. And thank you so much. Have a good day. Peace.